we need to talk. You know they don't want me to say it. You know they think I'm out of control, and you know they want this all to stop. But you know what? We don't care about any of that. And as the glaze continues, and oh, is it continuing, I gotta do it! So get ready, leave a like before we go any further because we are gonna need it, and get ready for it. Now when it comes to Drake and Akademiks, I gotta roast you. Listen, I'm gonna be honest, if you are ready to see how from Drake calling himself the biggest rapper in the world to Akademiks being the biggest embarrassment in the world, well, we got a lot to discuss today, and we are really at a point where we are going in on the worst couple in all of hip-hop and all of culture, and we really got to address how weird their relationship and dynamic has gotten. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe because I'm not playing around today, I'm not joking, and I am mad because, you know, to be at a point where we are in hip-hop where it feels like so much is stagnating, yet we have two 40-year-old men texting each other back, and, you know, they're questioning each other about why they're not getting the birthday wishes they want, and then we are seeing the responses that we did! Oh my god, man, what happened to the game I love? But listen, for those who are wondering what I am talking about in full, well, everything is going to start today from none other than DJ Akademiks and his buddy Drake's relationship, which, while this has been one of the weirdest dynamics in honestly like the history of anything, because the relationship that they have had, I don't know, it feels like something out of a weird movie or out of Degrassi or something, which I guess is on brand. Well, now for Akademiks and Drake, I just want to remind everybody that this is the side of hip-hop that tries to make fun of us, that tries to clown us for liking rap music, and that tries to clown us for standing on the things that we do, and I guess that does inherently involve calling out people like them. But where everything really tested me was when Akademiks made this post, which read, "The GOAT, your GOAT, and my GOAT. More life, Iceman soon." And just get ready, because it's not even that is the real problem, but it's the DM that Akademiks attached to the post, where it featured Drake talking to him. I guess now if Akademiks posted this on October 25th at noon, this exchange must have went down from Drake on October 25th, which is the day after his birthday, at 12:38. Which would mean that it was a half an hour after his birthday. And you know what a 40-year-old grown man did after this? Well, was go on social media and DM Akademiks and say, "No B-Day wish from my right hand? Love you, Big Ak." And if you thought that was bad, then Akademiks, after not wishing Drake a happy birthday, maybe because he was mad at him or he wasn't talking, I don't know, these two have the weirdest relationship I've ever seen between two grown men. But then Ak said, "More life, my G. You know we locked in. Let's go up one time. I hope you cherishing these moments for real. You the GOAT. Enjoy yourself, bro." And I mean, just with the fact that we have seen this monstrosity and abomination of an interaction, and they have put it out like it's something cool or like it's getting us excited for anything. Oh my god, we can't let this slide. I don't care. Because honestly, and where this thing gets even weirder is it now seems like after Drake sent Ak a DM to wish him happy birthday, and then Ak put it out there, and we just saw how weird this interaction was, and it honestly just feels like a public humiliation of some sort. Well, ever since Drake did this, and maybe this was the point for Drake, which was to try to just get Akademiks back on his side and then manipulate him, well, Akademiks has kind of been on a little bit of a run right now, where even as the Drake community, who kind of has been mad at him when he's a little too honest, has revealed, they are infatuated and overjoyed with the fact that Akademiks is seemingly calling out and dissing Kendrick Lamar. Which, now listen, Akademiks went on a huge rant, which did get a little bit of traction, and it was all anti-Kendrick, and it was all pro-Drake. And listen, I can't even fathom to explain it, so we are just going to sit down and we are going to watch it for a second together.
Even some of his friends was tired of him winning. The rap was like, "Oh, you lost? It's over." Yo, the industry been at an all-time low. The that watched the party, all he did was industry, because nothing been popping since. The industry is down. I was watching Joe Budden podcast. He said, "Man, The industry fell off since Drake ain't dropped. I heard Elliot Wilson say these Drake don't even like them. They had to finally admit it, man. The industry ain't without Aubrey, mother. Yo, these been so bored otherwise. They're like, yo, nah, I ain't gonna lie. It was funner when Drake was dropping it like the industry. Yeah, you had this leprechaun coming on this line, starting the Me Too wave, talking about he had this, he had that, weird case, weird case. I bet the whole industry down right now, man. It's like in Batman when they start showing this Gotham City. Yo, we have the bat signal. Where is Drake? The crime is getting out of control. What, didn't y'all say y'all tired of Batman and he was a menace too? Oh, nah, we not tired of him no more. Come back, Batman, come back. I try to tune into Elliot Wilson's show. He ain't got nothing to talk about. Made a big topic out of me saying that Wabi wanted to do some joint with Drake. You know why? There ain't nothing that exciting. Drake went on tour. You leaving y'all alone? Go talk about Deutsche. Y'all want to talk about Deutsche? Deutsche popping. They don't want to talk about Deutsche. No. They want to talk about the boy. Why y'all want to talk about Baby Keem? Yo, it was Baby Keem's birthday yesterday. Look, they all gonna talk about Drake's birthday and his age today. Not one of them. Yo, that's Baby Keem's birthday. Why haven't we seen that shit? They don't want to talk about it.
And now with this little rant from Ak where he is trying to act and call Drake Batman and act like Kendrick Lamar was the worst thing for the industry. I mean, listen, I'm going to be real. I do see what Akademiks is doing, which right now he is taking what does feel like a drought and really just a rough patch for hip-hop overall, as there isn't much going on outside of just the narratives that Kendrick is making by being great, and just by the presence that his greatness has left, and then with the failure of Drake. And as usual, he is trying to mislead people into believing that this is all Kendrick Lamar's fault and that Drake is a hero, because if he was around and if he was doing the right things, well, the industry would be on top and rap would be in a lot more of an interesting place. Which what I just want to say to that is that, listen, whatever is going on and whatever you're trying to say, to put this all on Kendrick Lamar, it's honestly ridiculous, considering that at the end of the day, these are all Drake's buddies. And you would think that if Drake really was the guy that he said he was, and you know, Ak, the rappers that you put on a pedestal, they were actually good or cared about the craft, well, maybe they would be outside working and maybe they would be outside dropping, making things interesting, and trying to really leverage this time where they could get a bigger following than ever and make a real hit record, when honestly, it's probably been easier than it has in years, just because there's really not much coming out or dropping. But you know, as again, everything for Akademiks when Drake puts that battery in his back has to be the most pro-Drake thing and anti-Kendrick thing ever. He is just going to simply try to put this all on Kendrick when really, if we break it down, while again, a lot of the stuff Ak is saying about the industry at large, it is true, just in terms of the inactivity and honestly how boring it is for every other player in the rap game. Listen, no matter what you want to say, to try and pin that on Kendrick Lamar and to try to act like this is a Kendrick issue, it's just absolutely ridiculous when time in and time out, he has been one of the only ones making this game interesting, the only one dropping music and dropping great music at that, and he's just been the only one who is getting people riled up and talking every single time he does literally anything, whether it's somebody mentioning his music or his records like what we saw with Joe Budden the other day, or it's him coming out on tour with Playboi Carti and making everybody livid while he had one of the most exciting guest appearances at any show that we have seen in quite a long time. And you know, even beyond all of that, if we want to break down why Akademiks is such a pathetic liar for Drake, what I really don't like about all of this is how, again, what Akademiks is doing and what everybody is seemingly doing is ignoring the fact that Drake has literally been outside pretty much every day since the beef has ended almost, which we are going to talk about his latest moment to try and get some sort of attention and to try to get any power in the industry back in a little. But to just act like Drake hasn't been outside, he hasn't been dropping music, and he hasn't been doing anything, first off, that's a lie, because Drake has actually released more music and he has probably done more in terms of the amount of events and moments he has created than Kendrick, which I'm not saying that's a good thing because quality over quantity, but I mean, from failed tours to failed streams to failed songs to failed albums, Drake has been outside and he has been doing his thing. It just hasn't been very good. And I just think that we need to be real with ourselves about that and understand that, again, if Drake actually was the person that you were saying he is, you wouldn't need to make these excuses for the reasons why What Did I Miss came and went, Which One came and went, and then Doghouse came and went, and then everything else before that came and went. Because really, this is just some sad coping and caping to try and make things better, and to try and just scapegoat the issues that you have and that your little team in hip-hop has on somebody else who really doesn't have anything to do with them. And just really proving how much of a liar Akademiks is and how embarrassing it is that just this grown man is outside lying for Drake like this. And he's acting like Drake has been put on some sort of an exile where he has not been able to do anything and he can't even speak. And that's really the whole big problem. Well, is the fact that, again, when you look in reality and look beyond the Akademiks Drake-mandated talking points, what you will see is that Drake hasn't just been outside. But after taking a little break from some of the most directly embarrassing moments we have ever seen, Drake has now started his little concert series that he is doing right for his birthday with OVO Sound and, well, a headlining act in Vybz Kartel. And honestly, when you see how much Drake is trying to cope and cater to the six and just really try to act like he is a part of a community which it feels like he has neglected for a while, and of course with everything around Kendrick, and even the other day we talked about the World Series and how Pharrell in the weekend just kind of took the stage from him there. Well, there's no other way to put it. He has kind of been in a weird place with his home city, at least from the optics of it. And so with that, now with Drake starting off his concert series with Vybz Kartel, and now with us seeing what really is the first OVO Sound event like this in a real long time. Well, there was a lot on the line here, and again, if Akademiks was really right about the type of things and the type of person that Drake really is in the industry, and all of it made sense, then the reality we are seeing now would be completely different. Because just Drake doing this would have spoken volumes and it would have really created something that people would be talking about. But instead, as Drake has managed to really just create another embarrassing moment where it feels like he's trying to copy one person's entire style and vibe in Vybz Kartel. And then on the other end of this, what we are seeing is that Drake is really starting to neglect and run away from his rap career as a whole. And now honestly, we can say that Kendrick Lamar won in the beef so much that Drake can't even walk on the stage with confidence, and he's hiding out in the DJ booth. I mean, man, this really does feel like the pop out at home, just in terms of how oralist and unexciting Drake made an event that was all centered around OVO and just trying to really make something special and memorable in his city. And so the first thing that Drake did here, which honestly just embarrassed him if you ask me, and I think is a bad look, but I do think at the rate we are at, and once again, this kind of just invalidates Akademiks' points, Drake has soiled and embarrassed his name so much that these comments and takes that he is making are not even resonating with anybody on any level. Well, now within this lame Vybz Kartel driven pop out that Drake has tried to make, he put signs right on the front of the Scotiabank Arena, which is where the Toronto Raptors play, which even once again with that, as Kendrick and The Weeknd are doing the Rogers Center, and they have shown that they are stadium level artists, and Drake is always hiding out in arenas no matter how you want to put it. It's just so hilarious and funny. But with Drake putting right on the front of the arena, nothing bigger than the owl trying to talk about OVO and I guess himself and his brand, and then trying to say nothing louder than the sound, and he's trying to hype up his label OVO Sound, which I don't even know how you can make a take like this, because I get while the one thing you're saying nothing's bigger than OVO, to actually talk about your record label, I mean, I think there's nothing quieter than the sound. That's what I would say. And then at the third sign, it said nothing greater than the world boss, which is Vybz Kartel. And well, Drake tried to hype all of this up and just make this a huge deal. And despite this show really being centered around Vybz Kartel's first time ever playing in Toronto, and really what is a significant moment, because as I was saying earlier when we talked about Drake announcing this show and really relying on him to try and make something that's OVO driven, well, he is using the clout that Vybz has as one of the premier performers in the industry right now to just try and get any sort of points that he can. Well, now within this show, and trying to look cool off of Vybz' energy, I guess, and trying to really just create his own moment. Well, aside from Drake just embarrassing himself and trying to really be a part of the center stage here and just failing, Drake wasn't even on stage and performing, but he is now in the DJ booth performing. which I guess is better for him because he doesn't have the stage presence and star power to really rock these shows the way he would want. And so by hiding behind some turntables and just kind of making the whole gimmick of you being at the performance feel smaller in terms of just how much you are really there, I mean, I guess that's a step in the right direction for one of the worst performers in the whole music industry right now. And what Drake managed to do within this set list is play pretty much a collection of all of the songs where he is pandering to sounds and styles that have nothing to do with any of the musical cloth that he is actually supposed to be from. And I think that just speaks volumes about the direction Drake is going in and what he is really trying to achieve from this. Which now, for those wondering, the setlist that Drake played here, it was short and quick, which I guess was good, but he ran through Controlla, and then he did a remix of Signs. He did a remix of Which One, which I don't even know how you could play that record in public. It's honestly embarrassing. Then he did HWGH, which was a remix, One Dance, which was a remix. Then he did RBD off of For All the Dogs, which I'm just so tired of that song. And then he did Hotline Bling and Nokia. And just with that, well, you know, one thing I am happy to see is that it does seem like Drake is running away from rap because he really doesn't belong in the genre. And well, even with the points that Akademiks is saying and trying to really hype up Drake through, that is all just garbage. And it's honestly meaningless because to even see Drake step into a building and you know he can't even rap, and I know it's a different vibe, but it just speaks volumes that he is trying to once again be this musical chameleon who just doesn't have any identity of his own. We'll just get out of here. But now, if you thought that Drake being a DJ and not even wanting to step on the stage to actually show off his performance skills was bad enough, things got even more embarrassing as well in a time to try and build up OVO and to try and really build up a consistent friend and I guess another fan base in the music industry who can support him. Well, Drake really did just cope and cape for Vybz Kartel in a way that I can't not laugh at, just because of how much of a clown that Drake ends up coming off by. As you know, as Vybz is on the stage and doing his thing, first off, Drake starts yelling in the corner on a mic in his little DJ booth and just trying to get the attention. And you know, when you just see him really try to act like he is the ambassador of the Six now after, again, even if we think about after the beef, he neglected his own home city for about a year before ever even doing something like this, because this is the first time Drake is really performing in Toronto. It's all just weird. And right now I'm going to show you a little montage I made of all the different footage of Drake just embarrassing himself. So just sit back and watch this.
I'm going to give you a break because I know you probably got another 20 children for that already, so you're not that for me, but he's coming. So if it's okay with you, for the sake of the Six, all these beautiful people that loved you for their whole life, you've been waiting to see you at home, welcome home, we're so happy to have you. I'm gonna ask, and you tell me if it's okay, if I could shell off like, maybe I'll do 5, maybe I don't know yet. In front of everybody, I can see everybody. Yeah. Hey, I just want to say, we were just up there talking, me, Chubbs, Future, we were just talking about how much time we spent with your music. Look at all these people right here. How much time we've spent with this man's music right here. I used to hand out flyers outside of a club called Escape just to go inside to the club and listen to your tune. So one more time, please, as a city, as a family, make some the world bosses. Damn! Make some noise! Right now!
And you know, honestly, seeing this and then even looking back at some of the Drake performance videos once again, you also see how the crowd is really not into it all that much. And for these records, which Drake, you know, used to think commanded the world and made him the biggest rapper in the world despite them not being rap songs, well, they really did nothing to move this crowd, which again, if we want to break down why Drake made these very songs and very records, it was to try and pander and cater to audiences that, again, were not from the cloth of necessarily hip-hop. And so just when you see that and even see Drake trying to make up this accent, which, like, the fact that he does this, it's so embarrassing because to try and just morph into identities and things that you are not, I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's just weird. Well, from that to even the typical speech that Drake has given to every artist that he tries to make look cool, whether that was J. Cole, whether that's Vybz Kartel, or whether it's any other artist that Kendrick Lamar probably laughed at him for doing this with, Drake does the same performative thing where he says how much he loves them, then he says to make some noise, and then he tries to make some little personal monologue about himself, but then somehow turn it back to the artist and make it about them. But it really doesn't end up being about them because Drake talks for so long that, well, honestly, nobody even knows the point. But now with all of this, when you just look around and see that Drake is outside, he is doing things like this, he is still embarrassing himself, he is still doing music and DJing instead of live performing in full, and there's really no impact from that. And just overall, again, to go back to Akademiks' point, when Kendrick Lamar does anything, it is top tier news, it is something big, and everybody is looking to what it's really going to mean, whether it's something in terms of just reactions that people are crashing out from, or if it's something in music. And then, for Drake, the only thing we really see him do is embarrass himself more and more. And when it's moments like these, where, he's not doing that in full, nobody's really even discussing it. Well, overall, I think we need to stop with this whole narrative that Drake is the savior of hip-hop and that the whole industry is a mess because of him. Because if we really want to break it down, unless you were trying to say that Drake is the reason why the industry is a mess and not that his downfall is, you can't just say anything. Because really, for Drake, this guy has failed. And the only thing that you could say, and this is what I would say, is that his failure has definitely made a lot of other artists become failures, whether they have realized it or not, and it's made them silently give up whether they have admitted it or not. And so really just understanding that and being aware of what's going on, that's really what's happening here, and that's really what's taking shape, which is that for Drake, the downfall has never been more prevalent. And for Akademiks and the weird little couples and friendships that you still have, you all gotta get into reality, because if you were able to just see the things the way we did, and if you wanted to look at things objectively and you didn't want to wait up for Drake text messages about why you didn't send happy birthdays, well then you would get it. But as we know, this is never gonna stop and we know it's only gonna get worse. All I can say is that for the worst couple in music and for the biggest liars, I guess I'll unfortunately probably have to talk about your failures soon. So yeah, that's all I got today. Let me know your thoughts on Drake and his failures, Akademiks and his embarrassments, and just everything going around here. And let me know about the topics that were discussed today in terms of just Akademiks really trying to blame everything in hip-hop on Kendrick Lamar and not Drake at all, which I do think is a very interesting debate. Now listen, if you made it to this point in the video, you know what to do. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And well, if you want to see how right before this, well, I had to make a very important video on Drake, which I think is a perfect prequel to this, as it really does just set the stage for the moment we are all in, which I do think is a new era in some sort of a way. Well, you're not going to want to miss this one. Check out the suggested video.